Hey, what's up, guys? My first video, I was going over, just the high level idea of using GPT and SEO software together to kind of come up with some new and novel ideas. I wasn't sure exactly what direction I wanted to head into, and over the past week, I explored quite a few different ideas, and I'm just wanting to go through all of these with you, and then the one that I had actually settled on. So I assessed all of these ideas on the basis of, well, for one, how long is it going to take me to implement any of these? Two, what is the kind of return on investment I'm going to get? Because, I make software or SEO software, just software in general. They all have some kind of use case for me that I can bring into the business. So I definitely don't want to just do anything that's not going to benefit me in some way. But yeah, I want to go over each of these ideas because I think they're all pretty interesting. So the first, let's say, group is the classification tasks. We'll start off with page type. So part of the audit, I kind of went over this on the last video, but I conduct a page level audit. I go page by page for the clients that I'm helping. And one of the very first things that I do is categorize things or classify them into groups. It makes the audit process a lot easier because I might want to look at all of the blog articles at one time. I might just want to check out the local landing pages. There's some custom pages that I put in here, like treatment. Like, this is a chiropractor, so he's got a bunch of treatment pages, and I wanted to classify them on their own. Branded, if it's just, say, like an About Me page or contact. Like, this is, the About Me page. I'm typically not doing any SEO on this. On these pages, but you get the idea. That there's multiple use cases coming out of being able to classify your pages for the websites that you audit. That's really cool. But then the other idea is, say I want to compete for a certain term, and say I want to compete for the term SEO consultant, and it would be really nice to have, say, a label or labels for, is this a marketing page? Is this a blog page? Is this a local landing page? Is this a home page? Those kinds of labels in the search results can help determine what kind of page is going to be required to rank well for any given keyword. That's really good data to have. So that's pretty interesting. Anchor text. So the anchor text. This was a tool. This is off the back of a tool that I made in 2019. In a nutshell, it looks at all the backlinks of my target URL and the top 5, top 10 competitors, and it crawls every single one of those backlinks and figures out what kind of label it belongs to, if it's just a keyword, if it's a keyword variation, etc. I would do this a lot differently now, but the idea is if you can get that, you can figure out exactly, maybe not exactly, but a ballpark of how many links you need, what quality of the links that you need, what kind of strategies are the competitors already doing. Like, can you do more of a keyword-centric, link building strategy where, 40-50% of your links have, some variation of the keyword in there? I mean, some niches, that's what you got to do to play the game. That would be very interesting to use GPT to be able to help categorize these classes. I mean, we can create a bunch more classes and just start feeding in, snippets of information about the URL and then the anchor text itself, and then let it use its reasoning capabilities to figure out what class it belongs to. And then you just shove that in the back of some, analytic engine of some kind that you're wanting to make, to where you can figure out how many links you need, of what metric, of what anchor text, or what class, etc. And make things go a lot easier. Keyword research, this one's pretty simple. I mean, keyword suggestions. There's a lot of APIs now that are out there that use, like the Keyword Planner API. And in my head, it would be interesting to, there's dataforseo.com. They've got a huge warehouse of, a huge database. There we go. So there's the keyword data, and if I'm not mistaken, yes, so you can get, well, this is information about the keyword, but there's an API. I forgot which one it is. Maybe it is this API, but you can get an entire database. I mean, that would just be absolutely massive. You have this giant database that you can index in your own way and be able to pull, say, suggested keywords according to, like a URL, and it figures out what the URL is about and whatnot, and it pulls, say, suggested keywords, and it also looks at like competitors and get those keywords for context. But the idea would be to bring out suggestions and letting GPT, help do some of the reasoning and narrow down the keywords, because I'm sure you guys know, using SEMrush, using Ahrefs, I don't know what other, I use those two for keyword research, but the other tools, it's the same. Like there's a lot of digging sometimes, unless it's painfully obvious. Like, I don't know, product page, just sterling silver bracelet. I mean, there's very simple search terms. There's only so many. That's easy to do. It's more complicated whenever you're trying to, say, develop content for a blog, or for a blog section of a SaaS company that has, some B2B solution. I don't know. It gets complex, right? I really I do not like keyword research. This would be a very, very lucrative idea. Topic clustering. So this is just building off the back of the suggestions. So if you have a website, say it's about, it's about weight loss, right? That's a subject, that's a topic all on its own, but then that breaks down into subtopics, because you're gonna have, so you're probably gonna have a key or a page that you want to designate to rank well for weight loss, but you're not gonna rank that. You can slam as many backlinks as you can on the page, have just the squeaky clean, optimized content, and it's just not gonna rank well. Like, you need supporting, for one, you need supporting articles, some internal linking from very, say, relevant, topically relevant, say, subtopics of your topics. Like, those kinds of pages need to be linking to that weight loss page. On the one hand, to help give it more relevance, to be able to give it more, say, authority through PageRank. You're going to be linking to these other pages, but the other idea is that you're covering subtopics that you're going to have a much easier time ranking for. And then imagine there's a subtopic, I don't know, certain, like, say, weight loss program. So that could be a subtopic underneath weight loss. That could be one page. And then, say, under weight loss program, there's many subtopics as well that could be supporting that topic. And the way that I approach SEO is one topic per page, or one subtopic per page, say. Yeah, it makes optimizing the page easier, and it makes just ranking the page and writing about whatever the topic is easier whenever it's a very limited scope. Using GPT's reasoning capabilities, you could probably do this in a matter of seconds. If you have all of your keywords mapped out, where you know that you want to rank well for this list, say you got a list of hundreds of keywords, being able to have GPT cluster them together according to, hey, I want to do one page, maybe do a max of, say, 3 to 5 keywords, and it can start categorizing them and then showing how they can be linking to each other. I mean, that's just amazing. On to the next. So this is a set of recommendation systems. So the very first is internal linking. Now this one is super interesting. It's probably better to start here. Like, a vector is, say that you're taking a web page, and then you extract all the words out of it, and then you turn each of those words into a number. And I'm paraphrasing things here, but you're turning each of those words into a number, and you're putting it into a list. That's a vector. And then that vector represents that entire page, right? So imagine doing that for all the different pages on your website. And then whenever you're trying to say you want to get some recommendations for internal links, you can query for pages that are similar to or cover the topic of um, the thing that the page is about, the topic that the page is about, and pull up a bunch of relevant pages. You can filter out those URLs based on if they already link to the page or not. And Pinecone makes this pretty damn easy and quick, and there is a free version. This is something that I can go ahead and say now, I'm not doing that right now. This is going to take quite a bit of time on my hands. I've got to learn this system. But again, this is a very lucrative idea as well. Next is high-level web page recommendations. That's for an SEO audit. So, like I was talking about earlier, part of my audit is I go page by page to figure out what needs to happen with them, what needs to happen with each of them, and it might look like a mess from here, but the way I generally start is something like with status codes, and I'll go down and check out all of the redirects and then assess them first, etc. But the idea is every single page has got some kind of a specified action. Do we want to leave it as is, give it best practices, advance on page, updating the content with, say, more word count, we want to redirect it, we want to canonicalize it, etc. There's only a finite amount. There's probably some more in here, that's why I've got other. But you only have a finite amount of actions that can be taken on a web page. And say, given the web page, and given these different, say, metrics, how many keywords it's ranking for, which keywords it's ranking for, what kind of traffic it's getting, what's its status code, etc. It can clearly define some actions. You can use GPT's reasoning capabilities to create actions. Now this would take quite a bit of time to do. It's a pretty intricate process, but if you do this, you can have an audit done, completely automated, and with zero sacrifice in quality if this is done correctly. And so, if you want to, you charge a little bit lower price, be more competitive in the marketplace, and you still have a much higher margin and a faster return rate or delivery, or turnaround time. And so just the client's happy, you're happy. It's a win-win all around. It's a very, very lucrative idea as well. And then on-page SEO. So I use a tool like Quora. Yeah, so Quora, I'd say that this is the best damn SEO software on the market right now for optimizing your web pages. And yeah, it measures 2040. No, actually, it's a lot more than that now. But it measures a bunch of ranking factors. It uses correlation to figure out what correlates the strongest with rankings. It prioritizes that, and it creates a roadmap where you want to add more word count. Inside of your H1 tags, you want to add 2 more keywords. It's a very, very powerful tool, and but it's very complicated. So there's a learning curve with it, and I say it's complicated because you got to figure out the problem isn't the math. Like the problem is getting this on the page efficiently, as best as possible without making it look like garbage, and you're still getting the most out of your SEO. You're still trying to squeeze the most that you possibly can, like out of your on-page, say. And I think that having GPT, like there was a snippet of, there was an example snippet that I ran where I wanted to, so this is what I fed into ChatGPT just as a proof of concept. I fed it the keywords SEO consultant, SEO consulting, the heading recommendations, or the recommendations here. It's a heading recommendation, add 2 more keywords. Leveraging the recommendations above, help rewrite this heading. Talk to an SEO professional today. GPT's response was consult with an experienced SEO consultant for comprehensive SEO consulting services. It's a little more, it's got a little bit more, I don't know, keyword stuffing. It doesn't look as natural as I would actually write it. But the idea is the math was right. I mean, it took it and it gave exactly what was needed. So I try to use, say, GPT to rewrite titles and say, like, do this under 70 characters or in between 60 and 70, and it does have trouble with that. I haven't tested it on GPT-4 yet. I would imagine maybe it's close to the same, because what the language models are doing is it's predicting the next character, and it's after a sequence of words. So reasoning capabilities like that, I would imagine it's going to have some time, but we can recursively kind of, we can have like some kind of a checker here that's going to make sure that the math works out. Like, it'll perform the check, make sure the math works out. And then you review it, give it the okay, and move on to the next thing. I don't know. The idea is that is going to cover like on-page SEO recommendations for something complex like Quora here. The idea is there are other on-page SEO software out there. There's Page Optimizer Pro, there's Surfer, there's ClearScope, and you get these sets of recommendations, and then you have a recommendation engine that'll help getting some of these suggestions like implemented without looking like crap and without taking all damn day. Last but not least is some intelligent web scraping. So this is more personal. This probably doesn't apply broadly to most SEOs out there, but I like to extract certain sections of the page, especially the header, the footer, and any, say, sidebar that may be site-wide, like just site-wide elements, because I want to remove that whenever I'm looking for internal linking prospects, as an example. And then also, I like to label pages that are in the header, footer, or otherwise site-wide, like global space on the website. And I do some fancy pants stuff with that information, but this one's probably one of the easier ones to get implemented, because you feed GPT web page and sections to try to get it defined, the header and the footer, and then give the CSS path extraction, and then you can use that to either remove it from the page source before that page is crawled, or just get that filtered out. Like, especially if you're using Screaming Frog, you can just paste that selector in there and have it ignore it. Now, out of all these different ideas that I've explored, they've all got their own, say, time investment and then ROI. And out of all of them, the one that I chose to go with is on-page SEO. I think that this has the biggest return on investment. This is going to save the most time as far as my SEO recommendations, because whenever I take on projects, I don't play around whenever it comes to optimizing web pages. There's best practices, where you want the title or the keyword in the title, the H1 and alt text, you want one time in the paragraph maybe, just best practices, the HTML structure, etc. But I take that several steps above and, use something like Quora, where I get as much math as possible to tune these pages. And, it's not an exact science, but it's pretty damn consistent. And having an automated recommendation process, that's just going to make things so much smoother, because it is difficult. It requires a lot of brain power. I mean, I spend a couple hours on each page, and maybe that's gonna drastically reduce that and then increase my efficiency, and I'm able to get more done with less time and really bring an ROI for the clients. So the idea is, I'm going to call this page parity. My anchor text analysis software that I made, I call that link parity. And the idea is to get it in competitive parity with those on page one. So page parity is going to be an on-page tool. What I want it to do is I want it to be an end-to-end on-page SEO tool that is capable of the analysis, developing recommendations, and then assisting in the decisions of those recommendations by leveraging GPT. This is just some details for me, but it's going to be very close to, say, Quora, Page Optimizer Pro, like those tools, but I'm going to have it tailored to my process, I think I'm going to get this as an API, so I can turn this into, I can use Google Sheets, I can create a desktop software, I can create a web app, like I can use the information in multiple different ways, multiple different places, and then having a decision support system on the end that's going to be powered by GPT. This is going to be a really interesting piece of software, and it's going to save me a few $100 a month on just on software costs alone, which that's going to be cool. I'd imagine this is going to take some time. I think I'm going to, yeah, I'll be making videos as I go along with this process, because I've got to make a crawler and a parser first and get all this information, do some testing, and then go right into seeing how I could leverage GPT in this. Some kind of a web app, some kind of a user interface. But yeah, this is the direction that I'm heading. But these other ideas, I don't know if you're an SEO, you're an agency owner, you like to do your own SEO, you're software developer, whatever. I mean, some of these ideas, they're pretty damn lucrative, and they would make you a lot of money if you can make a product like that. I'm coming from the perspective of making, my agency better, making my work faster, more efficient, delivering, better results to my clients while keeping the quality the same. But this, you could very well make some kind of a product out of these different ideas. And I'd imagine, there's a lot more ideas out there leveraging GPT with SEO, but, these were the ones that I kind of explored in depth. And yeah, so my next few videos are probably going to be, on something else, but I'm going to be making some kind of I don't know, like an update as I go along with page parity. Yeah, so guys, if you like this video, leave a like, subscribe, and yeah, take it easy.